Oh, we got the
Hello,
time.
everybody. Welcome
Hello.
to a very different type of Thursday night. Normally, you would arrive here on our wonderful channel and see us all sitting around a table ready to delve into the incredible story that is Chronicles of Amar. But alas, tonight you have to deal with just me, Richard, and Luke. Myself being Andy, I will be your sort of host as we do our first episode of a new show that's kind of maybe going to replace Secrets of the Conclave, named after named by our very own Nat, Out of Character. And hopefully that hasn't been trademarked or copyrighted in any way. We didn't check it beforehand, so it should be fun. So I am joined here by Richard.
Hi, I'm definitely not your host.
Yep, who plays Lolliput on the Chronicles of Amar, and our Dungeon Master, Luke.
Hello. I'm also not hosting tonight, which is wonderful.
Yep, they get to sit back, and I get to just throw stuff around, and it's going to be a bit ad hoc. This chat show is not going to be structured like our normal secrets. It's going to be like we've got a vague idea what we want to talk about. Luke's got something really cool that he wants to show everybody. And we'll go from there, and we'll just have an old chinwag for a bit over an hour. We'll see how it goes. See how long we can waffle on and release hot air into our rooms till we start sweating.
Viewers, it gets really spicy though. We could just end the call early.
Yep, just out of nowhere. Boop. Luke, I think you had some announcement to kick us off, actually.
I do. I have a very important announcement, actually. And people might not be familiar with this person, but they're very much one of the core people that make our show a reality. And that is Christy, our social media expert, who is not with us, but because, for a very special reason, it is her birthday tonight. So happy birthday to Christy. Hope you're having an awesome night and the kids are spoiling you rotten. Hopefully we'll get to see your lovely face on the screen very soon.
Awesome.
That's really it for announcements. So one big one, and we'll jump back into the show, I guess, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Yeah, and a big shout out to our affiliates and sponsors, our wonderful partnerships with Eldritch Foundry, who give us our fantastic 15% discount code, which is directly underneath me once it gets around in the carousel. Right underneath me right now is actually the Roll with Vantage one, which is our other affiliate. That is a 12% discount. If you just go to that web link there, you can register for that. That's the Eldritch Foundry one there, which is C Conclave 15. That gives you 15% off the fantastic 3D miniature builder, and the one you can see below me right now is our partnership with the local game store Elemental Arcade, which is our Gosford, New South Wales game shop of choice. And we have the wonderful Nat, who frequents there and does a lot of painting tutorials and stuff like that. She's actually there tonight doing hot off her win, which if anybody's seen our socials, at the National Painting Guild tournament for miniatures, she won it, so she's the best painter in Australia for minis. So
my understanding it is the most well respected painting competition. So well done, and that she is absolutely amazing. I can't wait for everyone to see what she's done with Kit on the big camera that we have now. So
yeah, the mini looks pristine, so good. Well, what do we want to talk about, guys? What are we doing here? Richard, what do you want to talk about?
Let's talk crushes.
Crushes. Okay, you go first. You personally or your character?
Oh, I mean, we've got time in the stream. We can talk about both. Let's see. Who's dishy at the moment? I mean, Aradin. I mean, he's obviously somebody who, probably quite handsome underneath all the drink and beer.
Absolutely. He is a very charismatic elderly dwarf who's lived a long and difficult life, but he is very much... hopefully he's winning some hearts out there. I'm sure he'll be back for some more guest appearances as well.
That is canon now. He is a good-looking older dwarf.
Absolutely. He's pretty old. He's getting on. Been around. Fought a few wars. Killed a few Imperials.
What would
Lots of
they
stomped on
call?
Templars.
I mean, like, they call it a silver fox if you're like a good-looking older human, at least in our world. But is it like a silver nub? What's the term for a good-looking older dwarf?
Maybe like, given size, maybe he's a silver meerkat or something along those lines.
Oh, meerkat.
They're pretty cute, aren't they?
Well,
I guess I wouldn't normally associate them with dwarves.
Yeah,
That's my
dwarves are mountain, maybe mountain goat, maybe a
Silver hamster,
silver, yeah,
short and fat.
silver-haired miniature space hamster.
There he is. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how everybody refers to a good-looking older dwarf. Araden's probably tired of having to stick it up in his profile.
Oh, 100%.
He's tired of swiping.
So is that
Too many
Lolliput's? Yeah, is that Lolliput's crush? He's crushing on Araden? Or is that Richard's crush?
Lolliput will never tell.
We know it's not Falsus's crush, that's for sure.
You always see it in those, in any kind of rom-com, whenever there's immediate tension between the characters, like they're always gonna get shipped off together.
Yeah.
Which is why I assume everybody was just like, Falsus and Lilliput, obviously gonna happen. And guys, I don't know where the story's gonna take us. It may not, who knows. But a potential love triangle there is Araden.
That will be interesting to see. We'll have to make that play out, I think.
That's right, folks. It's an hour of this.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's just
pretty
us
much.
going. This might happen.
Some other things happen.
I hope you're enjoying your stay. I think I jump into Isaiah. Definitely is a practical individual. He probably sees Isabel as more like the daughter that he never had, and I don't know. He doesn't mind. This may be controversial. He doesn't mind Falsus. He thinks he's a practical individual as well. Yeah.
A love quartet.
Yeah, maybe it's not a triangle anymore. It's gonna just be this I don't know, Days of Our Lives.
It could be our spin-off show, which is all about Falsus and his dating problems.
Yep. The Coastal Conclave.
Spin-off show, season 2.
Season 2. The Amar of Our Lives, Days of Amar, or whatever you want to call it.
I assume because Luke is, of course, the Dungeon Master and thus plays every character, he now has to answer for every single NPC
You've come across so far. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think I can remember every NPC we've come across so far.
About fiery.
I've got them all written down. But, Well, Nat plays Moira, so.
Ooh.
That's true.
I was going to say, notice he didn't say Falsus right off the bat, so...
I think Lilith is just like... She's just everybody. She just finds everybody.
Yeah, we know what her crush is. Blood.
Sorry?
We know what her crush is. Blood.
Yeah.
She's crushing on some...
She'd get along well with Wella.
Oh, yeah.
Who says she doesn't? Well, that's crushes out of the way for these characters. I think one of the talking bits we did actually formally write down, so we have some semblance of structure out there, ladies and gentlemen. Bit of a
crushes was on the
recap.
list.
Was it?
That's my screens.
Oh yes, it was. No, I'm just kidding. Is a bit of a recap about where we are narrative-wise and how the characters feel about each other. Thanks, Luke. Loaded question in that one, especially with Richard on the stream.
Something, yeah, it's good timing actually. Great time to talk about how characters feel about one another. Clearly, there's no hard feelings in the group whatsoever.
Well, I hate to rock your boat and your world. Your boat, which probably...
Gregory's getting along with the Falsus like a hat so far.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely no in there. Nothing that we could discuss further. Let's discuss it further.
So do we want to do a bit of a round table on characters' attitudes, or do we want to do a bit of a recap of the story?
I think story first. Do you want to lead this, Luke? I think you've got all the things right. You know what's going on.
I do, and I'm just going to do this out of my brain because I can't be bothered opening that many tabs on my computer. But in essence, are we going from the very start? Very start?
Sure, let's go. Very
all right.
start.
Well, basically, we initially started by I can't remember what happened early on. What was our driving force in the crossroads in Dalin?
I think it ended up...
We were there. We were delivering a box, the shipment. That's what took us away. We had a few little adventures in town, where everyone got together, and then we moved north with this box that had something of interest in it. And Andrew, Lilith is aware of what was in that box because she might have sneakily opened it and had a bit of a peek inside.
I think everybody knows the item, but they didn't know that was what was in the box.
Yeah, so that's true, actually, yes. So there you go. Bit of metagaming there. The party was transporting the Clockwork Moon from Damien to someone in Ishvanor, which Lilith staked out who that person might have been and decided not to deliver it. And instead, we wanted to make a copy. And while we were in Ishvanor, we kind of met up with Arctic Kelmina, the Archmage of the Imperium, a gnome who got along very, very well with certain members of the party, had a good time, and while distracted, we decided to pilfer his archives and steal some of his magical items. So yes, Arctic's electrified ball is still floating around somewhere, which, for the record, is one of a pair of balls that are electrified. And
I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
Am I going too fast? Have I missed anything important? Not really.
You did kind of brush past Arctic and the
Eleni. Yep. There was some fun times had. Some intimate moments between Eleni and Arctic, which ingratiated the group to Arctic. So he now does some things to help out the group, like teleport them around a little bit, and sends messages every now and then to people to help communicate. On Falstus's front, he was sort of interested in investigating the blight that had taken over northern Etheria, which we learnt from Arctic had started from an artifact known as Moanda's Blighted Heart, which the party went out to retrieve. And we found a very, very bit of a wasteland of rotten mass of composting vegetation, rotten trees, and a number of strange, twisted earth elemental and tree elemental creatures. And then one very particularly large creature that appeared to be wearing the skin of a large bear. So we had the bear on the outside and the strange stick-like creature on the inside, which was actually meant to be quite difficult for the party to defeat, but we kind of threw it down pretty fast.
Luke,
we got to eat Isabel. We met Isabel in Ishvanor as well. That's when Erin joined us. And she got eaten on her first real encounter, so that was a great introduction for Erin to the group. And then the party decided we found one sliver of the heart of Moanda, went down to the Underdark, and we learned a little bit about Lolliput's checkered family history and some of the secrets that are going on there in the Silver Vale and within House Lorthenway. And we found a map of other areas where the blight had been planted by these operatives using different slivers of the heart. And as a party, we kind of decided, well, that's our job done. We're going home now, even though there are multiple other pieces of blight around the country. We've done our job. We're going to leave that thread completely open so the blight continues to spread and strange plant creatures continue to murder people in the streets. And we went... What was the trigger point to not continue following that? I forget specifically. It was the Lolliput situation, wasn't it?
I think we had the Lolliput situation, and then I think the group just collectively was like, let's just give this problem to the Imperium.
Yeah, pretty much that was it. The Imperium can deal with this. So that was there. Now, just aware that we've got a lot of people viewing at the moment. Some of them might not know the story, so I'll try and slow down just a little bit. We were then had some information. We were escorting. Sorry, I got to stumble over my words there. It's been a long day of me talking, and particularly about Shakespeare and things like that. Get a bit tongue-tied sometimes. We were escorting Aradin to Mordun, and we arrived there. We sent Aradin off to make some copies of the artifact known as the Clockwork Moon, which we also learnt from Arctic's library that was one of the seals of the prison of a dark entity known as Urgareth, who is the generals of the armies of Hell. And he appears to have some followers who are trying to free him so that he can lead an assault on a place known as the Celestial Bastion and free the Dark Gods, which we probably don't want to happen. It's probably not going to be the best thing for the party or the Word of Amar in general. And then, as a part of that, we went to Mordun. We stumbled across a cult, which is, I don't know whether this name's actually come up in a session as yet or not, but they're known as the Madcap Covenant, a cult to the Mistress of Madness, who worship Alindra, who is one of the forgotten gods who is trapped away in the Celestial Bastion. And at the moment, we're sort of tied up in what is that cult up to? How did they get such a strong presence in the Dwarven capital? And most recently, we followed them into the Underdark, where we fought some demons, lieutenants, who currently, one of them is unconscious, ready for questioning. So, and I'll just throw out there for all the people watching that we also decided, actually, I told Nat to listen to the recap, so hopefully I won't sling her thunder. Trying to explode things in an environment where things live by detecting sound and vibrations. So that's probably going to go well for everyone. Yeah.
It's totally fine.
We've already committed to it.
Yep.
So sorry for the madly, very fast recap there, but I think that covers the core plot points that we're up to. There are a few other things going on. There are random disappearances across the surface of Etheria where those who worship gods are disappearing from the face of the world. No one knows where they're going or what's happening. We learnt that that's happened before because of an event called the Alignment, where the realms all align with one another, and there becomes a blurring of the lines, and it's possible to just cross between realms if you know where to go, which we got a little bit of a taste of when we came across a fire elemental on our journey. So that covers it, hopefully. I left out when Isaiah joined, but it's...
He came in at some point.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like... I think
It's not
there's also Lolliput's journey from finding out he was not just a lowly adventurer, but his family is a bunch of lol worshippers.
Yeah, well, yeah. So for those, I'll let you go in a second. Sorry, Richard, to jump in.
Go for it. And you've immediately cut off from sound.
Yes, we've lost your sound, by the way.
Dark, my sound or his sound?
Oh, there we go. We've got you back. It was your sound.
Okay, good. I don't know why I asked it, because if my sound wasn't working, you would have been able to respond.
Right.
So
it came back immediately, so it's all good.
The Dark Elves of the world aren't specifically the classic drow that all worship Lolth and are evil. There's good elves and there's bad Dark Elves. So. Sorry, Richard, your turn.
I can't remember what I was going to say. Other than, what a reveal to learn. This is me speaking as Lolliput, that this kind of high echelon of heroism and all other good things that you kind of held yourself up to. Your idol, who was your kind of like your mother, who's great adventurer, turns out to be a no good, rotten LOL supporter. Though, I think a point of order, we're making a lot of assumptions here that releasing the Dark Gods are a bad thing.
That's true.
Maybe
It's true.
really good, maybe better influx of food into the world, maybe some kind of like really good music. I've always said that I reckon Slytherin, the house in in Hogwarts, would probably have the best parties.
Just
Very
absolute
true.
rages.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I think
I
I think
would
that's fair. Like pulling on that thread too. Like maybe we just let the alignment happen. The good gods have had the reign of it for too long. Obviously, there's imbalance in the world. There's injustice. The Empire are, unstoppable and subjugating groups of people like wizards. Maybe we need to. Maybe there's a reset that needs to happen. We'll just completely change the course of history and your world, Luke, by not doing anything.
Possible, you never know. There's still a lot to learn about what's going on, and like without actually giving away too much, you might come to a point where you say, "Do we even bother stopping this from happening?" So,
I'm very sus on the disappearances. Like the information we have at the moment is that the gods are like taking souls for this coming battle. So it's just like the good gods are like going around literally killing people to boost their
much, yeah,
army.
that's what we understand of what's happening with the disappearances. That they're being sort of sacrificed to boost the power of the gods,
Yeah,
including the lawful gods. So.
I'm just like rude.
let that be a lesson to you. Whenever you sign up for an organization, you may be signing up to be sacrificed or consumed in some way for a holy war. Make sure you read the fine print. That's all I'm saying. It could be in the T's and C's, and we know we all skip by it. Read those T's and C's.
Maybe Falstus needs to gain some divine instructions to follow and see whether or not he's willing to do some of the things that appear to be happening from the lawful gods. So.
I think it's kind of telling to Falstus's devoutness that he hasn't been conscripted yet.
In that he's not as devout as he seems, or he's so devout they can't lose him. They're just like, I'll leave him there. Sorry, I'll take the
he is one who's going to mind violate people. But I actually, because I wasn't there for the session which Isaiah joined, so I wouldn't actually mind hearing about how Isaiah came to join the party.
Yeah, so that was an interesting session, and I guess out of character, yeah. It was something Luke. So based on where we had Lilith with Seraphine, it was something that we didn't want. Look, not that we have these problems per se, but in all transparency to our viewers, to alleviate metagaming and stuff like that, Luke and I obviously did the little stuff with Seraphine off camera to give a little secrecy to what actually happened, and it could have gone several ways, and it went a certain way, which meant that she has left temporarily, and I do stress it is temporary, and then the group obviously needed assistance with finding out what to happen next, and that's when Arctic got in contact with one of his mercenaries, one of his hired guns, literally, and Isaiah was brought in. So he's got he's kind of here just for the paycheck at the end at Arctic, but. You might get a sense that he's not a particular fan of the Imperium himself. Does mercenary work within the Imperium, but doesn't quite have the patriotism that a lot of Templars and others in the organizations have. That you would expect from somebody who plies his trade around the area, but especially when some of the references he talks about of being in the army, being a legionnaire himself, just crop up in casual conversation and then quickly moved on from, which is the way he likes it. He doesn't want to get too deep into his background, but there is an interesting, deep story there that may or may not come up before his departure from the group. But he is essentially just here to hold space until Lilith gets through what she's obviously going through.
He's a little bit disenfranchised from the Empire.
A little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Disillusioned is probably more of it. He still believes in its people, but I think there's been some comments about their zealousness, especially up the top. I think there was a conversation people were having about, oh, we should go and talk to like the higher ups and like get people to come and help. Like, and he's just like, they got a lot of agendas in a lot of different departments. You might not get the response you want. You might find that some of them might even be happy for this kind of cataclysm to happen. Some of them, like a lot of things, I guess in our real world, are like, oh, yeah, I could help with the environment stuff. I could help with cost of living, but then where's my profit?
So he is a realist.
Yeah, very much so. And his past dictates his realism and gruffness. He's a 55-year-old veteran, human, so he's pretty tenured.
Yeah, so he's not a silver hamster intergalactic meerkat as we defined earlier.
Yeah,
but one of those rare
silver foxes. Yeah, and I did describe him. He has silver streaks through like his beard and his hair and stuff. Not that you see much of his hair because he does keep it long, so it does come down over the western sort of cowboy hat. But
we welcome all romantic fan art and / fiction.
Who's Isaiah going to ship with? Falsters.
Yeah, you already know. They both got silvery beards.
Yeah, that's true.
It'd be a good. Cool.
When Andy proposed Isaiah, I was I like the character concept, but I was reluctant with the idea of firearms, to be honest. Whether I wanted them to be a part of the world or not, but I think it allows for a lot of fun things to happen in subsequent, I guess, if we go that far, subsequent seasons and things like that, and series and campaigns, moving on into different elements. So yeah.
Guns can be really fun in fantasy. Like, I don't know if anybody reads the Mistborn series.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they transitioned like an era, and suddenly we're like Old West, pre-industrial revolution. It was still kind of like fantasy notes. It's really good.
Yeah,
I'm just going to do a quick child check, so I'll be back in just a second. Sorry.
Child check.
Going. Sorry.
Yeah, I think from our concept too, yeah, he was reluctant, but it's fun because Isaiah is like, he's probably that catalyst. He's the first one, and because of the gunslinger class, it kind of like ties into that. Like they kind of make their own weapons and a little bit of a tinkerer as well. That's tied into he could be not necessarily the first. I obviously don't recall if much has been said about why he has these fantastical weapons, apart from the fact that he makes them. But he may be the one that was the first to make them, or he is part of some group that has built these items for whatever use that they are, and he just uses them himself.
Awesome. Now I'm just getting like the Dark Tower gunslinger vibes.
Yeah.
Very cool.
More of a Dark Tower gunslinger. Isaiah's more like that than say Percy from Percival from Critical Role. You know, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much more of the backstory comes out in the next few sessions, and post that when he leaves the group, how things evolve, and obviously opens up a few avenues for Luke to shoot cannons at us.
Cannons always fun.
I mean, it makes sense, you know.
You come back at the right time, Luke.
All right, done.
because we were talking about all the delicious things that you are potentially going to throw us in upcoming scenarios, upcoming sessions, upcoming seasons.
Well, look, sorry, I missed part of that too because I was moving. Jesse actually, I missed you, Jesse, if you're out there.
Well,
He actually played in a campaign that we used to play at the Bearded Goat, a future version of this world. So he's aware of some of the things that could be possible from different threads, not being pursued and things like that. So he could make some comments on that if you want to get in contact with him. But there's still all possibilities of the world that you're in. So I've got lots of different plans, and as you know, obviously a stream's not an easy thing to just set up. So we did have some meetings early on for our viewers and talked about possible storylines and ideas of what we wanted to do. I'll let the group vote on a couple of different things. They're not entirely sure what we're pursuing and what we're not pursuing, but they had a bit of a general arc of ideas and thoughts of what could happen. Because just that gives us an idea of tone of the campaign, what sort of style do we want to go in. One of those was a pretty dark, a grim dark setting, as sort of a horror-based setting and things like that as well. So that could all still possibly happen in the future. And we've got the lovely Andrew over here who can also run some things for us. And we've seen with Cold of Hunger has a very different tone at times to the main campaign, which is awesome. It's great to see that spread of people's repertoires and stories that we're telling. So that's great.
So you've already given away too much, Luke, because you said that Jesse's been playing the future version, the future world of Amar, and from that we can extrapolate that the future will be some sort of centaur-based society.
Quite possibly, actually. Yeah. So many centaurs.
Many viewers would know that one of our earlier players was playing the famous Ares or Willow Breeze, the mightiest of all heroes, and a half centaur, half halfling, half.
Yeah, halfling. It was a halfling.
Halfling and
I said half halfling, but I just said it. So yeah, halfling centaur. So both things were miniature pony centaur, basically. Is what it was. It's a shame we never got a proper mini sorted out and well painted up so that we could use as a nice little thing. Because that would be quite hilarious.
It would have been too small for camera when I picked it up.
Yeah,
I can't afford a camera that good. So
the normal size centaur was the normal size centaur with a bit of a scale down was the closest I could get without it all breaking to pieces. Just because. Awesome. Well, that's what other narrative, but what I guess we'll do. We'll take a page out of the secrets book and just do a quick round table on what's everybody's favorite narrative moment so far, or moment in the campaign. Richard.
Favorite narrative moment. I actually really liked, I think it was episode 2 or 3, when we got woken up out of sleep to discover that the town had everybody seriously kind of gone. So
the first disappearance.
Really cool. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool story beat. So once again, for those of you who maybe haven't got the episode, or for those of you who's been a little while since you saw it, we'd all come to this town, name escapes me, not really important, but we'd been solving some issues in this town.
Illness?
Lots of fun we had. We've been carrying on as kind of chaos monkeys, expecting to kind of wake up the next day and probably continue to make our DM's life a living hell, when 2 of our more religiously inclined party members had some fairly disturbing dreams. Roused from these, they went to explore the town and found people who should have been there gone. Like almost like a riot within the town started. This is how I remember it, so it may be kind of skewed. But very worried people collecting in the town green. There were tiki torches and pitchforks everywhere as people started to get really worried by people that were missing. But it was a really kind of cool thing to wake up in the middle of the night post rest and find that like the world had irreversibly changed.
Yeah, at least in that sleepy little town. I think it was Elnest. Was it Elnest?
Elnest, it was. Yeah.
It
was indeed.
yeah, like at least in that town, like something that the divine influence had definitely come through, and it was beyond our capabilities of comprehension, like just a mass disappearance. So I
Yeah,
guess that
and
was one of the first.
it might have been that one town, but like I think that was it's very much a a stand-in for the whole of the campaign, particularly because like for the players' experience, that is the whole world. So
Yeah,
we wake up one day and the whole world has changed. And we find out later, yeah, these disappearances have been kind of happening all over.
yeah,
But it was kind of very much, I think, a tonal shift for me in the campaign, and one that still kind of sticks with me to this day.
yeah. You're like, oh, shit's actually happening now.
Yeah.
What about you, Luke?
Look, I was
Or
very happy to get, and I was really, really happy that Nat agreed to do this for me. The whole Mordun, which we're kind of in the middle of still, arc, that I got to sort of explore that Aridin and Moira relationship, and the relationship between the dwarves and the Imperium, without having to have intense conversations with myself. Which was really good. I'm very thankful to Nat for having been able to step in and do that role for us. Um, but I quite enjoyed exploring that character, and having Nat step into that role also sort of changed what I imagined would happen a little bit in certain ways, because the character obviously wasn't exactly as pictured. I gave Nat inspirations and things like that and information.
she
She
ran with
took
it.
it and, as a good player does, ran with it and made it her own. And so now there's some really interesting things that we can pursue on that front. So it's great.
Yeah, and for me, like especially with that, it was the shock. Like I was actually shocked that the brother Aridin. Well, for starters, Aridin is like the brother of the king or the leader of the dwarves, whatever their position is. Um, Rather than just a humble little blacksmith. So that was a pretty big reveal. And then the second part of that was that the leader guy's brother had just suddenly just given up and been like, oh, they were winning the conflict, like their little war with the Imperium, and he was just like, no. Nah. So I like personally, from a player perspective, out of character, get it. Uh, like,
Tally.
yeah, I'm be like, how many times could I name drop the episode, the name of the show? Personally, I'm very interested to see where that thread lies, because yeah, I'd like to know what his motivation was. Like, maybe it ties into a little bit more of like the corruption that seems to be quite systemic within the Imperium. Or it just could be the zealousness, that kind of stuff. But he's obviously succumbed to something to make that decision, and basically throw his entire people under the bus.
Very much so, yes. So,
Yeah.
And as we see, much to the disgust of a number of people. So
Oh, the dwarves are obviously, from a lore perspective, we all know dwarves are a proud race of people. As far back as even the Tolkien stuff, that's a trait that they have. They're stubborn, they hold grudges, etc., etc. But for one of their own to betray them so fully, yeah, I'm not surprised that there's basically a Viva la Resistance inside the the city.
That would be cool. Because like normally depict dwarves with Scottish accents, but maybe we should be doing French accents for them.
we could. There's no rule that says they have to be Scottish.
No, there isn't.
We've just sort of taken that trope and run with it, to be honest.
Yep.
So,
Particularly bad Scottish, which is the only version of what I do.
I think our advantage as Australians is that we can play things like dwarves in Drow and not necessarily even have to put on a voice, because people will just assume that our Drows are Australian or our dwarves are Australian.
Yeah,
so.
they come from the land down under.
I'm just lost a bit of camera. There we go.
Nasty spiders, things wanting to kill you everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
the Underdark, doesn't it?
The Underdark is just Australia. A lot of the community agrees with us on that. And not just the Australians. A lot of the people who have visited our country who play Dungeons and Dragons and other places are like, Underdark is Australia. It is. You walk there, the giant snakes, UNT, giant spiders, drow, driders, God knows what. The Tasmanian fox is essentially a that half a dragoloth, I think it's called, the drow wolf creature thing.
That's very true. Yes.
Just so angry all the time and ready to just rend
Did you say the
your
Tasmanian
entire
fox?
bloody face open. Sorry.
Did you say the Tasmanian
He
fox?
did say the Tasmanian fox. Yes, that's why it took a few moments to catch it.
Close enough.
I actually love it. I love the idea of a Tasmanian fox.
Yeah, that's even worse.
We should do a live when we start doing our concerts in grand halls to thousands of audience members. We should actually run one from Janolan Caves, which is a cave system.
That would be amazing.
But yeah, I feel like it would be to the Underdark.
That would
they'd allow
be.
us.
Yeah, totally. They don't need to know.
We
We can get out quickly.
I think they have event spaces up there.
later. That's how you do it.
The event spaces in the ones that they allow events to happen that don't really stuff too much up with the caves. Like, they're just pseudo caves.
I figure we just go in with a few cameras and some halogen lights and some air horns, and then just do whatever we do, and then just say sorry later.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's what most of the shows do, right?
We'll just treat it as like a live
Apologise,
stream
Amar.
live. We'll dress up, we'll run in with our air horns, we'll blow them and just see what swarms us, and then we'll just run for our lives. In essence.
Sounds like great content to me.
Yep. Before we take a quick break and dive into Luke's little show and tell thing that we're gonna look at to close out our evening, we will just circle back around to. So we've gone through narratives, we've gone through recap, that kind of stuff. The party dynamic. So let's circle back to that question: how they feel about each other, or guess what dynamics seem to be flourishing, what are working, what are damaged beyond repair and never to be returned to. Let's jump into that for a second. We'll start with you, Luke. We'll reverse it this time.
Look,
I think when you sit from the DMing chair and you look out and you can see the players interacting with each other, which friendships or interactions seem to be strengthening? And
from a metagaming perspective, it's been very difficult to put Fossils and Lightfoot in the same room together, because both of them wanted to go and explore completely separate things. So there was an element of railroading the group together on both fronts, and that's not a shot, because it was very much done very well in character, and it's exactly how our personas would have reacted. Look, I think that it'll be interesting how the Isaiah situation develops, because the group, I think, is starting to suspect certain elements of the Imperium, and with Isaiah having those ties, particularly in working for the Archmage, who I'm not sure whether it was said in character or not, but someone in those episodes mentioned that it's a little bit suspicious that an Archmage doesn't know what's going on in the world with, magic users being arrested and
that was said
and forced into service. So there's a little bit of a where do his loyalties lie? What does he know about what's going on? If he's working for someone, yes, he's following money, but if that money tells him to do something, will that happen? I think that we've talked about this, and not much has been revealed yet, but there's a lot of cool things we can do with the party dynamics with when Lilith comes back. We've obviously got
Nat's
chomping this one.
Yeah, Nat's chomping at the bit for that. She every single week she's just like, "Is Lilith back this week?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Yeah. It depends on where."
I hoped that we were going to get there last week, but we didn't quite get there. But it's not too far away. We know that, and we had a few plans that didn't quite come to fruition that would have possibly caused that to happen a bit quicker. And I know you're really keen to play, and we're really keen to have it back. So hopefully we can get there soon. I'll let Richard deal with the really obvious and glaring one. But I think that with everything that's happened and the way we've sort of worked some of the departing cast members into what's happened, trust, I think, is going to be a bit difficult moving forward for certain members of the group. So
Yeah, we
I'll
have
throw
a.
to Richard.
I think we have had a bit of an upheaval in terms of like the party group. A few people, unfortunately, have we even officially revealed
No, we haven't
our
actually.
cast
That's a
member
very good point.
departures?
So, yeah.
Maybe we
No.
segue into that very very quickly. If you wanted to say a few words about that, you want me to talk about it?
That's right. Basically, as we all know, and it's pretty commonly created meme that scheduling conflicts are a huge enemy of any Dungeons and Dragons group, and that really did hit us with our live stream. And unfortunately, Katie and Mitch have departed because they can't necessarily make every session, or even really as a percentage enough to sort of keep the narrative solid and consistent. So they moved on. And what we have currently now is yourself, Richard, Mike, Aaron, and Nat will be our core 5 groups. Every so often we might have some guest members and things like that. Some of our one-shots might have some different members, but that is our core cast now. So there'll be 5 of us, which we wrestled over that decision as to whether to go back to 6 to have the even numbers in each screen and things like that. But I think it's working pretty well. And I think, I will miss having Mitch and Katie on the stream. I think they added a lot. But unfortunately, as we all know, work and life get in the way of things, and it's not always to be. So.
Yep. And this unfortunately is not our full-time job yet. Like and subscribe. Get some money into those Twitch streams, guys, and we can definitely boost the quality and make it our jobs. If you want to see that, then support us, and we'll get cracking on it. It's because this is where we want to go eventually.
I wouldn't mind that, but most of us to actually quit our jobs probably need a decent income coming in from
exactly.
Twitch, so.
10,000 subscribers. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yes. So, well, thank you for that, Luke and Richard. Yeah, jumping over to you on character interactions, friendships,
What do you got,
trails.
Friendships. Yeah, I will second that motion. Any oil tycoons, any multi-millionaires out there who just want to dump money in this so we can do this every single day. If we would, believe us. If you want content, just pay us for it. Just give us the money. We'll sell out. We'll do whatever. That aside, the elephant in the room when it comes to character tension is probably Lolliput at the moment. And for I think good reason, and Lolliput definitely thinks good reason. So where to begin? He kind of came back from leave. Falsters kind of brought him to Mordoon, and he's not really feeling a connection with anybody. The new person he met, or 2 new people he met, Moira and Isaiah, both kind of put him on a good stead either. One shot something, if not in his hand, and pretty kind of close to his hand, and the other person literally put her foot down when it came to his antics. Isabel was pretty chill about the whole thing, but he definitely didn't get much support there. But the cherry on the cake was Falstus invading his mind, and there's probably some good reason for why Lolliput feels so strongly about that. He definitely saw Falstus trying to read the minds of those Imperial soldiers that we defeated right back when we rescued that Fire Genasi. And you have to imagine for a character who covers himself in so many disguises and so many layers of secrecy, to have his thoughts laid bare is probably a pretty confronting and pretty alarming thing to happen. So Lolliput really is not a huge fan of the group at the moment, but he still cares about them. Otherwise, he wouldn't be kind of traveling with them, even in the eyes of Gregory, the trusty and seemingly quite popular dwarf when it comes to the party. So and maybe it's easier for Lolliput to carry on those relationships when he can pretend it's not him. New addition to the team. Also, another person with dark elf heritage. So I think that's probably something that Lolliput doesn't feel like a bridge has been burned there. But yeah, that's probably all I probably need to say on it. He's definitely very hurt and doesn't feel like he should or needs to kind of reveal himself to anybody.
Yeah, he's kind of protecting himself with that facade that he always needs to. But I guess you said that he cares about the group. Is he kind of like watching them from afar, but really close type thing, trying to see if they've got redeeming moments that might bring him around?
He's definitely looking out for opportunities. And for those of you who saw the last episode,
looking out for that moment where Falsus one night is just sitting there and just goes, "Lolliput, where are you?"
Yeah, and then takes him in his arms and says, "Shush, shush, 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 shush. I've been here all along."
What I particularly enjoyed last week, Richard, was even despite the fact that the party was in some serious trouble at one point, with Isaiah unconscious and imps appearing out of the shadows, you still just picked up a crossbow and shot people instead of using any form of the magic abilities that you have. It was great. It was beautiful.
I hate to draw your attention to this, but Wally was posing magic down. He was just happened to be burning sorcery points to do so. There isn't a lot of offensive spells I've discovered that Lolliput has that aren't going to completely decimate a fairly wide area of people to do so. But yeah, so and I got that subtle barb as well, Luke. You know, you're bringing up Isaiah unconscious. You know, Lolliput healing potion at him. You know,
that was great.
we talked about this before the stream started. That was off the books. That wasn't really brought up. And then you guys flew me in here with like a trap.
I love that moment, actually. I was like fully like, if this is how Isaiah goes out, there's nothing better like than just something ridiculously stupid done by another player to get somebody else killed.
Okay, in my head, I was like, all right, you guys are level 6. These are your rough bonuses. This is not going to fail unless you roll a nat one.
Natural one in...
Beautiful moment.
Never underestimate... Yeah, never underestimate Richard to not roll that one at the critical time.
Oh yeah. My rolls are dog dirt. That is a known fact. It's got nothing to do with my fantastic dice, which is something I've realized.
Yeah, no, it's people. I've known a lot of players that it doesn't matter how they could roll my dice, and I roll pretty consistently well, and they roll ones all of a sudden. It's just and then I'll roll them like 2 seconds later, and I roll the nat 20, and they're just like, I hate you.
Look, there is question for this. For those of you who don't know, which I expect is probably most people, I actually used to work at the casino in the city. So I used to be a table games dealer, dealing cards, spinning roulette, doing a whole bunch of stuff. And let me just say, I am famously unlucky. Doesn't matter if I'm rolling for myself or rolling for the players. Everybody loses when Richard plays. Let's just say.
So fair.
Very nice.
Well, thank you for that, Richard. Insight into Lolliput situation. That's interesting. From an outsider, Isaiah, super quickly, and we'll have 5 minutes before we come back and finish up. Isaiah, he's a mercenary. He doesn't have really too much ties to the group, but he sees what they're doing is good work, and he's one of those type of NPC guest characters played by player who looks at a group and goes, adventurers, they get shit done, like, let's get shit done, guys. And especially with the way that he manages himself being a mercenary, he tries not to be bogged down in bureaucracy and stuff like that. He knows the power adventurers have in It's just in any world, really. But especially in Amar, he knows they can do great things when they're given the space to do so. So he's very supportive. He's very practical. He's obviously been around for some time. In terms of like group dynamics, he sees a lot of practicality and falseness, just a little bit of misguidedness probably. In terms of like, he sees falseness doesn't feel like the group has the capability of dealing with this, and Isaiah is constantly like, no, we can do this. Let's go. Here's a bunch of grenades. Just throw them in there. And it's the same with, I guess, the other party members. He knows everybody's strengths, weaknesses, and knows how to get the best out of them. Almost like he was captain in his old life. But anyway,
I feel like when we uncover Isaiah's backstory, there's going to be something that's going to pop on the screen that says Isaiah achievement.
Yeah.
We've unlocked a key character that we can kind of go and change outfits to.
Yep. And then you just get, he's like, before he leaves, he just goes, here you go, Lolliputs. You don't need to, mask of many faces this. You can literally just wear my clothes. And he walks away in his undergarments into the sunset.
Are you telling me when you retire Isaiah, you're going to give Lolliput a gun?
No, he gave you his clothes.
We promised that on screen, folks. Andy has promised Lolliput will receive a gun. Which I am very much looking forward to.
Yeah. No. So yeah, I think that and then Lilith. Yeah, we talk about Lilith, and it's just like, yeah, she's an interesting individual. She's Fae. She's chaos. She's always got her own agenda, her own plan about what's going on. But she generally does have angles, and there might be some loyalty to the group, because a lot of people, it might have been glossed over. Mainly, I think, because two of our main cast were missing that session. The message she left to propel you guys to go and get the Clockwork Moon back and stuff like that seems very poignant, that she left it secret, left it for the group. So no matter what situation has happened with her and Seraphina, she's obviously giving you guys a fighting chance by giving the direction of what's going on. Once the group figured out that's how it all ties together. So maybe there is some loyalty there. That her bravado of extreme violence doesn't belay trust in others. But we'll find out when she returns. Maybe it's going to be interesting. Sorry?
Maybe it's how she shows affection.
Yeah. The more angry and violent she is around you, the more happy she is.
A stab is as good as a hug.
So, what we're going to do, we're going to have a quick 5-minute break and come back freshy. Let me just set up the timer. And we'll come back, we'll get a drink, and we'll finish up the evening. Thanks everybody for watching.
Enjoying so far.
There. And I hope you're enjoying our casual little stream out of character, and we'll be back shortly. Back. So, thank you for holding with us while we take a quick break. So, we've only really got two other sort of dot items on our little talking list. It's going to be a nice early night, so give everybody some time back and get them hyped and keen for the episode 19, I think, which is next week.
I think I made it worse.
And for everybody just tuning in, during the break, we tried to work out how Luke could stop making noises every 2 seconds just by breathing. And he's apparently made it worse. So now we can hear all the things.
Very good at what I do, apparently.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I talk in the classroom, no one hears it. Yet here, every time I make a noise.
It's because we're waiting on your bated breath.
Yeah. So let's jump into the next one. Luke has been working on a little project of his own, and he would like to share some of it with the our acolytes of the conclave. Take it away, Luke.
Indeed.
If you
I
share...
thought we were going to do something else first, but here we go.
what did you want to do first? What are we doing
no,
first?
that's all right. No, that's okay. We're gonna jump on it, and I will share my screen in just a second. But as many of you know, if you've ever watched any individual episode or spoken to me ever, you're very much aware that I just keep losing my screen. There it is. As much as I love Dungeons and Dragons and the fantasy setting, there's one thing that I very much love a little bit more than that, and that is science fiction. And I have been working on developing my own science fiction TTRPG system, which I have affectionately, as a placeholder name, dubbed StarQuest. But I've recently discovered, because that is actually a name for a book, so I might have to change that at some point.
Yeah. If you're, I don't think you're sharing yet.
Not yet. Not sharing just yet. So
okay, cool.
I will share screen now, and I'll just make sure I get the right window. So I will.
Cool. Google.
Here we go. Hopefully you can see that.
Well, 1 second while I shift us over to the share screen. All right, that looks pretty good. Sorry, people, if our other party is a little pixelated below, but that's the best quality I can get on the screen.
And just bear with me while I remember how to actually navigate my Google document, because it's a bit all over the place at the moment. And what I might do is I might just switch that over to that screen so I can just look at the document without seeing everyone's faces. You can see there, and I'll make sure that it's working, that I have created a Google document, and currently it's sitting at, I think, 58 pages or so, of Rule 53, so I didn't do as much work as I thought I did today. And basically what it is a science fiction system that I have been working on, and you can see there's a few things that are in there and a few things that are missing. But basically, I love Dungeons & Dragons, and look, I've dabbled in a little bit of Starfinder and done some research on that, but I was really passionate about making my own system, and I wanted to use that science fiction setting, because it's probably was my number one passion, but it's also probably my number one area of knowledge in making things work and creating those rules and systems that would work and law that would work. And in essence, I don't really know what to say about it, to be honest, so you guys can ask some questions if you want. In essence, it's set
where does the inspiration
in our galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, we all know, I think, by now, as I said earlier, if you ever watched or met me, that Star Wars is a big thing in my life. My favourite author is Timothy Zahn, not because of his Star Wars work, which most people would know him for, but I don't think I've got them in here. But one of my favourite novels of all time is called The Conqueror's Legacy, which is a series that he wrote, a very good science fiction series. And interestingly enough, I stumbled across the first book in the Gateway Book Exchange. Anyone who lives on the Central Coast might know what that is. Yep. It's no longer there, unfortunately. It was a very sad day when I realised that. So I found book 1, so I read book 1. And then I found book 3, so I had book 3. And then about 12 years later, I think, it was a very long time, I managed, this was obviously before the internet days when you could just jump on and get whatever you wanted. I found book 2, so it took me close to a decade to actually read the series, or possibly longer. So I very much wanted to know what happened in book 2 for a very, very long time. And I like that. I love BattleTech. I've read many of the BattleTech novels. And I think that, let's talk about Star Wars. Some of my favourite Star Wars novels are the Timothy Zahn's, the X-Wing series, which I think is a lot of people's favourites. Largely because of a lot of the descriptive combat, which is another reason why I like BattleTech. So they're probably the main inspirations. I love Dune and all those sorts of things as well. Battlefield Earth. Any science fiction will probably get me talking for hours on. So to the point where...
Tell us more about that setting. Where you said it's in our galaxy.
Yeah, so in essence, it's a lot of the law is still in the head and needs to be put in. I want to sort of get rules and systems down before I put that law in, because that's probably not going to go anywhere. That's my strength, is sort of creating worlds and things. I said to my classes today, one of my biggest weaknesses in writing is actually naming things. I can spend, I'll stop writing for months at a time if I come across something that I want to name and I can't think of a name, and I'll just sit there and do nothing for a very, very long time, so I do, which is not good when we're creating RPG systems and worlds, but I use a lot of name generators now, they help me with that. In essence, it's set in a futuristic version of our universe and beyond, in which when humans entered, discovered faster than light travel and began to expand into the stars, realised that habitable planets aren't really that common, and other species wanted them as well. So there was a period called the Expansion Wars, which is set before the system comes into place. And some of the more enlightened races or species of the galaxy got together and said, we've had enough of everyone killing each other over resources, put their foot down, and it sort of created a very uneasy alliance known as Galactic Concordance. And they basically have, in essence, what is a senate have representatives of each of the species that are in the galaxy, or the core species. And they keep a very uneasy alliance, but conflict is still very common. Exploration is still very common, because those worlds that are inhabitable and have strong resources or good useful resources are not that common. And there has come across, because it probably hasn't come across in our campaign because we're moving quite quickly. Exploration is a big thing for me. So a part of sort of encouraging exploration in a science fiction setting, it can be difficult because you can travel faster than light, so you've got good scanners and all that sort of stuff. There is an ancient civilization where some ruins and ancient technology are slowly being uncovered, which is driving demand for finding more of these sites and getting the relics. So that sort of drives the treasure hunting side of things. And there's an unknown sector of space where we're not really sure what's out there, so that's part of exploration as well. Is there anything else? Any specific questions anyone has at that point in time or anything like that?
I've got one, Luke.
Yep.
How? And do tell me if you haven't yet come up with this, but I'm curious about how extraordinary abilities work in this system.
All right, so that's a great question, actually. And I did battle with this for a very long time because, I had a bit of a look at Starfighter and some other systems. I didn't just want magic in space. I wanted it to be a true sort of technology-based setting. So we have, and I don't necessarily have the rules on this document just yet, but we have technomancy. So we have technology-based skills, wherein that classes are scrolled down to the page here, like the engineer, and classes like the at-one with technology monk and officer and technician have abilities that they summon through a sort of data pad or wrist pad. So their abilities will be sort of like that sort of bounty hunter style that we see in Star Wars with Boba Fett and his homing rockets and his jetpack and wrist lasers and grappling hooks and things like that. And then we have, as far as magic is concerned, we have the psionics class, so they're more psionic abilities. At this point, I'm sort of on the edge as to do I create all these different schools, or do I just go with psionic is the casting system, but there are different damage types within psionics. And that's sort of a work in progress on how psionics is going to work. I'm pretty down with the technology side of things, I think. And there are lots of different ways in which you can use technology to do that, I think. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
A lot of it's in my head. It's probably making sense to me, but hopefully it's making sense to people I'm talking to.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool. I like that. And I mean,
and as far as,
in my opinion, with that, if you're looking for inspiration, a lot of, I guess it depends on your preference, but a lot of games do tend to try and have just the one system that kind of branches off, but mainly because it's easy to maintain. And if you don't mind maintaining multiple different sort of systems, like a Technomancy table and a psionics table and all that kind of stuff, then I like that idea. It reminds me more of some of the more old school TTRPGs that moved away from that and to streamline. but it used to have a lot more flexibility and nuance and focus. I mean,
At all.
D&D 3.5 was like that.
So I know I'm sharing screen. I keep scrolling the document to look at things, so I apologise for that if it's driving anyone nuts. I'll try and stop doing that. But in essence, I'll just bring up the table so I can click on things. One of the reasons I did that was because I'll just stop on the species page here. I wanted certain species to have some sort of, telekinetic abilities and things like that. And that's, you could do that with technological implants and things like that, but it's not necessarily an evolutionary thing. So I wanted to have that element of magic as well. I'm going away from a spell slot system and a spell list system for each class. And my current plan, and I'm hoping this works, is that if you're a psionic, you'll have access to the entire psionic's spell list or power list. And rather than spell slots, there'll be a point system. So each level of power will be assigned a point cost, which will allow you to use as many combinations as you like. That obviously comes into some problems in higher levels with higher level powers, but there are some limitations around. You can't necessarily use all your points on 9th level abilities because that's a bit ridiculous. And the same with technology; they'll be based on a point system and have access to that entire sort of powers list, which is an idea I got from another system that I quite enjoy. In that it doesn't restrict you necessarily on class. You could be sort of any spellcasting class, and you can get some of those utility spells that are really iconic to some classes in D&D without having to necessarily be that class. Because we don't, I personally really dislike spellcasters in D&D. I don't like to play that style. I'm more of a melee, get in there, hit things, and that sort of player. But as you know from Cult, I also like my paladin to be able to do some healing. So whenever I play a paladin, I inevitably do multi-class into Divine Soul Sorcerer to get some of those abilities. And so I wanted a system where you had that freedom to do that. Yeah.
You know what I want? I want a world where, and maybe this is a bit speciesist, with every kind of like sci-fi or futuristic or intergalactic kind of thing, it's always like humans are there, and then all these awesome new races come. They've all got kind of really cool powers, or they're stronger, or they're more technology advanced. I'd love for us to encounter one race of creatures or one species of creatures, which is they're just like they view us as the superhumans.
Yep. So I can't show in the document the spell list or the ability list for humans because I haven't put it together because I'm on the same track, I think, Richard, because and one of the things I'm leaning towards, you can see here that the human line is completely blank. I'll just give you a minute to catch up. There's nothing there yet because I am on the fence with that because I don't disagree with you at all. And I'm thinking that what I would like to do is put together in my system humans have my personal thought. Sorry, I'm sort of spitballing as I go here and exploring ideas. Is that I want to either go down the path of the other species see humans as quite warmongering, given our actual history, and maybe go down the path of them being a really martial species and giving them some exceptional martial abilities that reflect that idea, or possibly as part of that expansion and into the stars, we became a little bit more enlightened and we get some abilities around or some bonuses around technology and some of those other things. So I'm not really sure where to go with humans at this point, but I guess my heart is with making them sort of a warmongery species that get some really nice martial bonuses. So.
Cool. We could be the Saiyans heading to some other planet.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, as I said before, that one of my inspirations was Timothy Zahn's Conqueror's Legacy. And in that, if you don't know it, I don't want to give it, it's a pretty old book, it's like 50 years old now. Basically, humans come across an alien species and we communicate with radio signals, which to the alien species are deadly. And so every alien species we've ever come across has attacked us because they think we've attacked them because their radio signals are bad for them. And so we've developed some really amazing technological advancements through warfare and abilities through warfare, they have a conquering race in that galaxy, and I kind of want to reflect that a little bit, I think. So
I love the 80s space opera-ness of somebody marching into battle with a boombox playing AM radio.
Yeah, that's a lot of what happens, yeah. So, yeah. And then you can see here I've got I haven't counted them before, 3, 6, 8 different species there. And one thing I wanted to add, I've got the Unity, which is very much a work in progress. They are a race of sentient robots that have a lot of different physical characteristics. But they do have they're called the Unity at this stage because they do have a connection across, in essence, a hive mind, so they can communicate with their entire species across vast distances, which has some neat little, message abilities when it comes to actual gameplay. My experience with running D&D with a lot of teenage boys and students and things like that in schools is that they all love Dragonborn for some reason. So I have a sort of draconic style species in the Draculith, which I know it's a little bit controversial, but I have some AI generated concept art that I will eventually have pay someone to draw images for me. So excuse them at the moment, but they're hopefully going to look something like this. Hopefully that's on the screen. There we go. I quite like that art, and hopefully I can at one day fund someone, look at you, Richard, possibly, to draw some art for me for this system as I scroll really fast and furiously back up to where we were. My experience is that a lot of people like the Dragonborn species, so I thought I'd chuck them in there. Now, this particular species, I haven't put details in because they are actually a species in a science fiction manuscript that I have written, and they are in essence a clan-based system that are extremely territorial. So they're going to be, to give a little bit away, the sort of war-driving species that, along with humans, are the most likely to break the current peace and cause chaos around the galaxy. And they basically have their thirst for war and conquering has decimated their home planet. So they travel their current sectors and space in huge clan ships, which are gargantuan vessels that host an entire clan of the race. So they have ships that have millions of people aboard. And then from a species perspective, we have they're called the Ilaki. Then we have the Gronoth, which are one of the species that band together with the Lithimians to create that peace in the galaxy, because they're older spacefaring species, and they are much more peaceful and enlightened. So they're going to sort of be those sort of the elves who have that extra. We've been around for thousands more years. We have a little bit more knowledge. They're the grown-ups of the galaxy, trying to keep the teenage species under control. So I'll cover that when we talk about humans. Lithimian, from a visual perspective, are going to be a feline-like species that evolved as an apex predator, but when they went into space, they unified and became one of those more enlightened species. So, did you want to say something, Andrew?
No, sorry.
Did I cut you off? All right. The Neuronians, who are, in essence, our nearest neighbour. So, as part of the expansion wars, we had a lot of conflict with the Neuronians, and they don't like us very much, and we don't like them very much. But they all, in essence, if we're aware of Star Trek, have a neutral zone around the human territories and their territories, which is very heavily patrolled by galactic concordance ships. And that's where a lot of our smuggling comes into place. The last species that I've created so far is the Xyroxy, who are going to be an insect-like species. And they have a tendency to, every few thousand years, they go and swarm, which means they leave their home planet and they swarm out in huge numbers and attempt to colonize the galaxy. And obviously, that allows us to have a nice little narrative element in creating campaigns in the system of here's this huge galactic threat, they're going to swarm soon, we've got to stop them type thing. So I threw that in for that reason. So they're my species. Obviously, I don't have a lot of artwork. It's not a skill that I have, so it's going to take me some time to put together visual representations of these species. But that will get there with time once I've sort of established the core rules and things like that. It is heavily D&D inspired, the system. So it's a D20 based system. But as I put in our conclave chat the other day, possibly yesterday, I'm trying to steer away from the idea of, doing this gives advantage on that, and give sort of to hit bonuses or to hit having complete mental blank, penalties and things like that. So, for example, at this point in time, one of my thoughts is for one of the subclasses, which is a sniper, if you go prone, you gain a hit bonus. Because, we all know that snipers go prone, and rather than be advantage, it'll be a straight plus to, +5, possibly +10, like split a sharpshooter bonus. And rather than having disadvantage on a person on the ground, it might just be a -5 to hit that person. And then, because obviously I don't want to carbon copy the system that we all are used to and have some unique elements, which I will go in. I'll just give a quick scroll through the classes if you want to have a look. If there's anything you want to have a look at, let me know and we can stop and have a look at the chat. But in essence, I have tried to bring in some things, skills and abilities that are more science fiction and, I guess, warfare based. You can see some of the backgrounds there. Slowly getting through equipment, that's probably the last thing I'll do because that's pretty easy to put together. And I can see that this is where I want to go. I'll go down to the combat system. And obviously you've got your basics around initiative, turn orders, bonus actions and things like that. A few things you can do. Movement and positioning. I've structured it like the D&D player's handbook to make sure I cover things, but I'll probably do some playing of that once I get there. Rather than difficult terrain, I have gone with the terminology of treacherous terrain because there are many planets out there that have some rather toxic atmospheres and things like that. So a lot of that is going to be reflected in the way things work. I have instigated a prone position situation where that can be beneficial if you're a ranged sort of sniper-based character, and so position will be important. I've incorporated some science fiction terminology around creature sizes. I've also, it's not currently in the system yet, but on the document, there will be a sort of elevation advantage, so you'll get bonuses to hit if you're elevated in an elevated position. You're firing at someone and you're in a declined position, you will receive negative attempts. So you can see, with the help action, I've termed it assist. If you're assisting someone to attack, they'll gain a bonus to hit rather than specifically advantage. Changed a few terminologies to be science fiction based. I think added the guard action, so you can attempt to guard a person within 5 feet of you. So if you find that your full caster classes like your psionics and engineers and technicians are getting absolutely annihilated by someone, you can run over there and guard them, which means that attacks on that particular person will have a disadvantage. Oh, not disadvantage. I have in my current ideas. I don't know whether it's going to work or not, so that's why I'll play a little bit with playtesting. Currently, there's a hit penalty of -10 for the attacker attacking someone that's being guarded. But additionally, in that, they make the attack against the armor class of the person who is guarding the target. So realistically, you're probably going to have someone with nice heavy armor run over and protect your caster, your little glass cannon, and give them a little bit of an armor boost on hits as well. I've got the hunker down ability, which is basically seeking cover, because we have some tech abilities that create portable cover, so you can actually take an action to duck down behind that cover and be behind full cover, so you can't be attacked. The ready action, obviously, tactical scan, it's a technology-based system. You can use your technological items if you have them, such as your wrist pad or your data pad, to scan an enemy to get an idea of some strengths and weaknesses. So that'll be a little bit like the what's it called? Extract elements. Is that it? Extract for bunks. Hit them and you get a little bit of an idea. And you can see
extract aspects. Yeah.
Extract aspect. That's the one. And you can see there that I've titled the Dungeon Master the Celestial Master, but that's just because I wanted to. And we're going to have a tactical withdrawal option where if everyone takes a disengage action, you can exit combat and basically run the hell away as quickly as possible. Obviously, that will incur some penalties and things like that for being attacked, but we'll get to that. That's still a bit of a work in progress. You can see there I've stopped halfway through a word that's supposed to be from. Take aim, which means forego an action and get a bonus next time. Yes.
Really important question. If I use the tactical scan, will I be able to tell if somebody has a power level over 9,000?
Absolutely. It will give you, and obviously, I've got in my rules that will be a technology-based check where you'll roll a check. If you roll an extra 20, you'll probably get all sorts of things like armor class, metagaming-wise, level, are they much more powerful than you? Yes, no, on equal power, more hit points, that sort of thing.
Over 9,000,
Which is that sort of Battle Master fighter ability where you get the idea of if you talk to someone long enough. That's not actually class-based, is it? That's a background thing, isn't it?
No, the Battle Master has... Yeah, no, it is a Battle Master.
Yeah.
You're right.
And you can see there I've started to put together some powers as well. But I'll go back up to the top. If there's anything people want to look at, go ahead and let me know. Or any questions. I'm pretty excited on. Obviously, hell of a lot of work to do, but we're getting there.
Now that you've referenced Battletech as an inspiration, all I want to do is pilot a mech and be a pop idol.
You can see, I'll just scroll through it now, I should catch up in just a second. Starship is going to be a thing. That system is very much in the very early alpha, but once I sort of nail down how I want to run that, it will extend into vehicles and things like that, which will include mechs and stuff like that, absolutely. And there's actually, the engineer class, which, and before any of our viewers zoom in and see, I have used some ChatGPT to help me structure things in the right formats, because when I'm brainstorming stuff, it is all over the place. And where are we?
Decent tool if you want to use it for that kind of stuff. I like, for me personally, the vehicle stuff is a huge sell point in terms of like differing this setting from D&D. Not because you don't have vehicles in D&D, but if you can get a good and robust rule set for them, that's your point of difference. Because I think Dungeons & Dragons has a very, well, let's just be honest, they don't have a rule set for vehicles.
Not particularly. So, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go that science fiction setting, so you can bring in the idea of vehicles. And on that note, with Next, Richard, there's a technician class which currently has an unfilled out turret master subclass in which you'll be summoning or creating, technological allies and things like that, which will down the track be things like battle mechs and stuff as well to control. So,
excellent.
Getting there very slowly. I remember telling you guys last year that I had done the stupidest thing in my life and taken on the idea of creating a TTRPG. It is a hell of a lot of work, and with
especially
full-time jobs and with the
stream
stream going on. So
yeah, you look at even things like Candela Obscura. The list of people who worked on it is enormous just before you get to playtesters. So the fact that you're doing this solo is an absolute. It shows your passion, and it shows. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
So
you're doing the job.
it is a lot.
17 people.
So yes, if you want to work for free, not get paid anything, give all the credit to me. I'm right here. So the other thing I was toying around with is the idea of building in ability score increase. I was going to move away from a race or in the system species-based bonus and add it to classes, because I find in many situations people will choose their race or species based on the bonuses that they get. And so I want the ability for people to play whatever race, I keep saying race, but I'm going to try and go to species, whatever species they want, without having to sacrifice that ability score increase. And I know we've got a lot of new stuff in Tashes around custom origins and things like that. They can shift that around a little bit, but I've tried it at this point, and it's going to take a little bit of testing and ideas around how it will work. And you can already see there that I've got different species names, so this is still a working document. Two classes rather than got comments all over the document there. Classes rather than species, so that it has no bearing on what you choose to play. So you can be whatever kind of berserker you want, and you're not going to miss constitution-based things. The one exception to that rule really is that the Dracula have some armor class bonuses because they're big, scaly dragons that evolve in a volcanic world. So, but if I go to my class-based thing here, you can see that I've got ideas around the ASIs based on class rather than species. So hopefully you can see that whole screen. I'll just go across a little bit there with that table. So I also changed some of the actual ability score names to reflect a different system. So
it's nice. I like it. I've got so many questions, but we definitely do not have the time tonight to go through them all. But Richard, you got anything super quick?
No, I just think it's looking very cool, and like I said, I can't wait to pilot a mech and be a pop idol. Those are the two dreams for me. If I have to be a draconic descendant to do so, then I'll be a draconic descendant.
maybe we can pop it in to our backgrounds, and we can have entertainer as a background or something along those lines.
Yep. Just pop idol.
Oh yeah, SDF1 for life.
Yeah.
One of the hard things I will say about trying to create a system, I'll just pop to the backed up to the index so you can have a bit of a look. Was trying to come up with. I've got to go back up. Sorry, I keep scrolling really fast. I hope it's not making anyone sick. Within the classes, coming up with distinctly different archetypes or subclasses. That was a real challenge because you look at, I've got Berserker in there. How many different ways can you be someone that goes and hits things that are significantly different?
That's true.
It's hard. It's really difficult. I've called it Infiltrator, but Rogue was another one. It was difficult to sort of make some changes around Fighter. I've sort of gone from the Gladiator style, which I call Champion, to a Raft into a sort of a Weapon Master thing. But it was hard. It was really, really hard to come up with some different subclasses, to be honest. So,
yeah. No, it's looking.
And I was very cool for Offset.
But no, thank you, Luke, for that insight into your little passion project. Maybe sometime in the future we'll be playing this on stream instead of Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, that is the goal. We're going to live play test the system at some point when I get all of the rules down perfectly. I've just gone on to show some of the skill proficiencies that I've popped in, and one of the things I want to do is I've got things like salvage and repair in there because what I want is a really strong crafting system where you're in space combat, you blow up someone's ship, go and salvage it, get some parts, and you can create something. That crafting system is a very long way off because they're very complex. If you want it to be an immersive system, it can be quite complex. So.
Easy, you can put the flavor on top, but if you want to have a little bit of guts to it, it is. I think in D&D there's a third-party book called Havard's Harvesting Manual or something, so it's made by a third-party group. Put it together, and it's enormous. It's a 300-page document where basically there's a table for every single creature about what items you can get from them, what checks you need to get them, and then what items you can build using them. And there's 3 volumes of that. So 900 pages of tables.
That's what we're looking at for a crafting system. So we'll get that eventually. And you can see, starships, I've got absolutely nothing. I've got ideas, fighter classes and things, but space combat's going to be, I think, fairly complex. I don't want to. The thing is, you want to do all those cool things, but then you also want someone to be able to pick it up and go, oh, I can play this game.
Yep.
So, how do you balance that out? So
lots of play testing. And
yes,
then
very much so.
Getting rid of all the bloat that doesn't work or can be.
So I hope you're ready for it. Oh, and I just stopped on a great page. If we have any Red Dwarf fans out there, Sologram. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Richard knows.
That's a word of homage to Red Dwarf. I love Red Dwarf.
Good old Grimmer.
So.
Nah, it's awesome. Well, thank you, Luke, for running that through with us. We'll have to have another deep dive sometime.
Oh, it's a long way off, I think. There's a lot in the document. There's a lot missing from the document. I've also got to create the entire lore document, so...
You'll get there. Well, let's thank you for sharing that, Luke. That is amazing. If you want to unshare the screen, we'll get back to our normal panel.
Yes. If you want to contribute, make sure you subscribe.
Yep. If you want to help Luke achieve his dreams of creating a TTRPG, please subscribe to our channel. Excellent. So we'll close that and switch us over here. All right, we are back on. Awesome. Well, that looks really good. I like the placeholder name StarQuest. I think it's cool. It reminds me of Galaxy Quest. Actually, I only watched that again the other day. It's on Netflix.
I love Galaxy Quest.
I want to call it that. I need to check. Obviously, there's a book called that.
Yeah.
Look, I do a lot of my thinking. And this goes for some of the stuff I do at school as well. At about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll suddenly wake up and have to run and go and type things down.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened multiple nights in a row with the name StarQuest, so I had to write it down.
It's where inspiration strikes. 3 a.m. every single time. Well, is there anything else we would like to chat about? Are there any other talking points we wanted to cover off before we close out our first session of Out of Character?
That's like a good stopping point.
I think that's a good stopping point.
Yeah, we have gone a bit longer than what we initially had planned and thought we would go for, which is great because we didn't actually plan that much stuff. So well done.
Yeah. You like I always say, don't underestimate our ability to waffle. But your system looks really good. There's a lot of detail there already. So you had some really good insights into how you were thinking about things. So I think that's it's a really good start, and it looks like it's going to come together really nicely. So in that case, yes, I think I agree. This is a good spot to finish up for tonight. I sincerely thank, firstly, our sponsors and affiliates, Elemental Arcade, Eldritch Foundry, and Roll With Advantage, for supporting our stream with their tasty little discounts and partnerships. And I hope everybody who is still with us and watching at this time at night, our little chat show, Out of Character. If you liked what you see, get onto our socials and like and subscribe and jump in. Our next episode 19 for Chronicles of Amar, returns 7 p.m. next Thursday, Australian Eastern. I'm going to go with daylight time. We're still in daylight time. Yeah.
A little bit longer.
Jump in on that and watch the unfolding narrative. Will Lolliput ever forgive Falstus? Will Falstus and Isaiah ever hook up? And is Lolliput going to leave because there's now another drow, and maybe Gregorin just becomes his actual persona for the rest of the campaign? Will Lilith ever return? And Isabel seems to be chill about all of it. So what shit has she seen that makes her so desensitized to the madness that she's found herself in? And with that, thank you. My name is Andy. I'm your host. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Luke. And we will see you next Thursday.
Bye.